Today, the only cartoon character in the world hosting a live morning show to get your day started. Get up and transform your life. The power of the practice mindset. Mornings in the Lab. Hey! Yep, I said it at the opener. You got the only cartoon character in the world starting the morning show. And oh, by the way, yeah, this is an explicit show. Yeah, true story. Now, even the cartoon guys swear. Hey, so if you got those kids around, you got the kids in the room, you got to get them out. Or put the headphones on or turn them into a cartoon character. We lower the bar when cartoon characters show up in the world. But hey, this morning, oops, I didn't put the camera on. No, there. I tell you, we're going to get the technical problem solved here coming up here soon. But hey, listen, I'm Keith Bilous, and joining me today here is my friend C. Marty Fit, Rich Ingram, Kristina Flynn, and of course, Johnny Anderson coming in with us here today as well. We have got a action-packed show today for you guys with some powerful insights. But first, oh yeah, I'm going to ask you to like. I'm going to ask you to subscribe. I'm going to ask you to comment on the channel. Either do you like the cartoon guy or do you not like the cartoon guy? We want to hear from you here, you guys. We want to hear what your comments are here, Mornings in the Lab, the only show to get you guys started every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern time on YouTube. Yeah, on LinkedIn. Oh, yeah, what's shaking, Alex? And over there on X, that the other world of X. Listen, we get up every single day with a mission, with a goal of helping you guys be accountable to reach the biggest, most audacious goals in your life. That's what we do here in the lab. And hey, today, Rich Ingram is here. C. Marty is here. Johnny's here. And Kristina's here. Let's bring them on stage and see what these characters are up to. There we go. Let's bring up Marty. Let's bring up Kristina. Let's bring up Rich. Let's bring up Johnny. What's going on there, crew?
What's happening?
What is going on?
Hey, so what did you think? Where's Marty? Well, where's Marty? That's a good
question.
Marty.
There he is.
There he is. So
there's my boy. We can't leave him behind. Shit.
No, we can't do that. So what did you guys think of Over? The first cartoon ever in the history of Mornings in the Lab and the only cartoon character in the world doing this morning show. I'd like to go around the table. First of all, I got to stare at my boy, Rich. Rich, you came in the lab, you looked at the camera, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Am I in the Flintstones or what? Richie, like, was that your first thought or what?
No, man, I expect something new every day with you. So, it's just whatever it's going to be, man. But yeah, that was surprising this morning.
Rich has got his green sweater on, black headphones, and we got Kristina black on black. Johnny's wearing the blue superhero. When I see Johnny in this shirt, you guys, I think of Superman. Yeah, I see this guy here wearing the blue shirt, the red hat, the Marty's not necessarily agreeing with that, but I got John.
What's up? Hold on. What's up, Marty? You gonna take my superhero shit away? What's going on, dude? Come on,
John, man. You're just John.
Well, I guess that packs a punch by itself, so I'll take that as a compliment.
That's it. So Johnny's wearing the blue superhero shirt, the red hat, the nice black glasses, and of course we got Marty rocking I got the color correct today, Marty. The yellow.
You can't get this color wrong. No. Can't get this one wrong.
The less brunches, more crunches t-shirt this morning, but of course the traditional red headphones this morning. So hey, we're talking the power of the practice mindset, how to change your life. Ty Hoesgen's joining us here today as well. Coming up in a few moments here. Where's my notes here? Before we dive into that, I'm gonna get you guys to subscribe to the channel, of course. But hey, I got to tell you guys something. What's been on my mind has been that there's this John, Marty, Richie, we talk about this all the time, right? Humans seem to be so obsessed with results. Results. Whether it's hitting certain numbers, it's like, okay, I've achieved the pinnacle. I've won the Stanley Cup. I've hit the hole-in-one business or achieving those fitness goals. But what we all know, Richie, John, Marty, Kristina, that the real transformation happens in practice, right? That practice mindset. That's what happened there? What just happened?
Your cartoon character's taking over.
Technical difficulty here. Yeah, There we go.
Until go into the vertical. What just happened there, Jimmy? Can we tell?
Come on, Jimmy.
There we go. Jimmy's wrecking shit on the back end there. But hey, so the practice mindset is all about consistent effort, daily focus, and letting progress happen over time. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up. When we practice, we improve. It's that simple. Before we get into the big chat today, I got something I want to throw on the table here on the golf side of things. Richie, how do you incorporate practice off the top of your head into your living mindset every single day? You know, life is about practice, but how do you continually transform your life through a practice mindset?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right before I got on the show, I've been going through a lot of stress lately. I have a talk coming up, and they want workshops with it, right? I've never done workshops before, so I'm just overwhelmed having to rehearse something completely new. And so I did what I always do. I sat down and meditated, pulled out my journal, and I just started saying, hey, here's how I'm feeling. I just like vomited this in my journal. And then I just started saying like, hey, here's what's actually going on. And the good thing about it is the positivity that came out of it is it took that stress to get me to make a good product, right?
Yes.
It sometimes when we feel stressed out, I'm not that creative, but when I hit the stress wall, man, what happens to your brain is just, like you said, superhuman, right? Like your brain can do so much when it's under these stressful situations. And so that's what it took, but it's managing that emotional stability that really helps us rise to the top. And that's just consistent effort.
Yeah, a diamond is created through pressure. You know, it's
right.
It's literally that pressure is that. I told my little girls that when I was raising them. I said, "Listen, I'm going to put you under enough pressure. It's going to develop your character. Not so much pressure that it's going to break your character. I want you to develop. So accept and work through the pressure in front of you."
And can we call Rich out there? Because Rich said, I'm not that creative. And I think that this is one of these stories that we tell ourselves. We grow up, maybe we weren't creative in what they told us was creative. Rich, motherfucker, you have to be creative in everything you do. You have to face the world differently.
Right,
you have one arm, bro. You fly fish with one arm.
You're right. You're right.
Creative?
Hold on. Don't tell him he's got one arm. He doesn't know that. You know?
Yeah,
what are you saying?
Don't tell you exactly. Don't tell him that. He didn't get the memo, man. He's still operating with two.
But I guess my
Oh, you're on mute, Rich. You're on mute.
Richie, you banged your mute there, buddy.
You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Richie,
it looks like he's spitting out something really good too.
He's going crazy right now.
He's giving us some pearls and nobody can hear it.
No,
you can't hear you. Seen the cinema message.
Yeah, somebody sent him a message.
Now we have Japanese anime on the show with Rich Ingram. No, you're still muted, brother.
No, mute.
I think you hit.
He hit his mic.
You hit a mic button. Yeah.
Oh, it's the mic button. Yeah.
Rich is going to sort that out. I'm going to lean into something. You guys tell me when Rich is back up here. But yesterday we as a team showed up, and John, if I can offer this up, John's like, yeah, I'm chasing some. I haven't found my feeling yet today. I got this emotion/anxiety situation kind of battling in its head, and John always talks to all of us about you can't have both happening at once. And 24 hours ago, I'm going to offer on behalf. I'm just going to do it. John was battling that. I woke up this morning doing the same thing. And I'm offering it just like John offered it, because there's some of you right now getting up, starting your day, like Richie did, with that stress, with that feeling of, something's kind of going on up here or in my body. I don't know what it is. So I'm sharing like John shared and like Rich just shared, because I know many you are waking up, starting your day. It's a Wednesday. You're kind of going, something's kind of off. I can't identify it. Like Johnny, I did my yoga this morning. I went for a walk. I did yoga, and I'm just like, I'm chasing this feeling and I can't find it. My head's racing a little bit for the weekend, and I'm just working on slowing it down. Can you go at this with me because this is about the mindset, right? It's just I'm trying to practice this whole talking through in my head, and I think you're doing the same thing right now in your head.
Well, you know, the thing about it, what I realized that when I reflected, and I actually kind of figured it out today when I was doing my mental exercises, when I journal, is that I realized yesterday I just wasn't intentional enough about getting to that spot.
Yeah.
I was going through the motions, yes. And it's real easy sometimes to go through the motions, but not completely commit. And that's what I was doing. And so when we saw that video yesterday, where that lady was just giving the gratitude. It just for some reason it just said something to me and boom, put me in the spot. So that was kind of like a get out of jail free card. Like that was a gift. That was a blessing for me to have that video. Then this morning I was able to kind of review and figure out, okay, what the hell did I do wrong? Well, I was just not intentional enough about realizing how lucky I am. When I look around me, I just think, holy shit, I have this such supportive, wonderful wife sleep, and I can't wait for her to get up and give her a kiss. Yeah. I have this, these kids that are amazing, and I just wasn't intentional enough about diving into how lucky I am. And so that the good news is, because I made that mistake, it's very easy not to make it again.
Yeah, I want to bring Richard back up in a quick second here, Jimmy, but I'm glad you used that word intention, Johnny, because I went through my morning routine this morning. I was struggling with my intention. I made some different decisions in the gym that I'm regretful of. I don't like the word regretful because I don't know if we take responsibility when we use the word regret. So I'm just opening up to Nation right now because we all go through it, right? And this morning I'm going through it. I'm just working myself through it. And when the show's over, I got some plans to chase that feeling. And I'm suspecting I have a plan, Johnny, Richie, Marty, Kristina, that it's going to get to that feeling.
What do you mean chase that feeling? I don't understand what you both are saying by that.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll take that one if you want me to, brother.
You start, Johnny, then I'll follow up. Richie probably has the same thing. Maybe even Marty. Go ahead, Johnny.
Because for me, I'm a feeling chaser because, I can put myself in the position of where I want to be. I can visualize, and I go in and I actually physically feel the places that I'm traveling to, so to speak, the places that I'm going, even in my day. Like I can close my eyes. Part of my morning is I close my eyes and I literally just mentally act through my day. And so I've mentally already done it. And the feelings that come up, when I think about, doing something nice for Terry, when I think about finishing my workout, when I think about helping a client and getting them to see something they never have before, it literally, my brain dumps all of this chemistry, positive chemistry, into my body. My body then has a feeling. I can feel what that is. And now all I got to do is go get that feeling. I chase the feeling. Sometimes it's an emotion. Our bodies, it's easy to go chase down an emotion because it was real. We could feel it. I want that again. Let's go get it.
Yeah. Richie, we knocked you off for a quick second there, but you were saying something about chasing feelings in the power of practice. But Richie, I want you to finish your thought, and I'm going to come in and answer Kristina's question as well. Maybe Richie, you can answer Kristina's feelings. I suspect you're a guy who chases the idea of a feeling. Richie.
So for me, I think a lot of what we're talking about is what John said, our body's chemicals, right? So dopamine is very powerful,
yes.
And then you hit oxytocin, serotonin, four major ones, but under healthy levels. And yes. So, that's why cold plunges are great. Cold showers are great, whether the science of the health benefits, regardless. But every time you look at your phone or your phone's just in your pocket and you think about it, it's releasing dopamine. But if we can get a healthy level of dopamine, with that, because you also have hormones when you have pain, and that's why working out is so beneficial because literally oxy is coming from it's a natural pain reliever. And so we can establish habits where our body wants more, our brain wants more of those healthy levels of those.
Yes, sir.
So that's what I chase.
Yeah. Baby.
Marty, do you I'm suspecting you relate to this as well. You're a fitness dude, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business guy, you're out selling gear, you're getting after it every single day. Marty, from your POV, when Kristina says, what does it mean by chasing a feeling? How do you answer that? Because to me, that goes back to that changing your life, the power of the practice mindset. It's doing something repeatedly. Marty, how do you come at this?
I think it's different for everybody, but for me, it's more like momentum and I guess fulfillment. And so if a lot of people don't know how to respond to not feeling that, because Johnny, I'm never going to come in here and complain, but I feel you, Johnny. Like, it's been plenty of times I could have canceled the show, for what I had going on in my personal life, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm at the point now where showing up is more important than anything, regardless of what I'm going through. But, you know, when I feel those moments where I'm not catching momentum or I'm not feeling fulfilled, you know, I got to tap into another source, you know, and figure it out. But it's all part of the process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For me, Kristina, and good morning, good time. Good morning, Shinku. Good to see you guys here this morning. We're talking about changing your life, the power of the practice mindset, this idea of doing things on a repetitive basis to achieve greatness. And I'm going to hit the accountability check-in in a minute here, Jimmy, but I wanted to quickly answer Kristina's question. From my point of view, very similar to Johnny, Kristina, maybe even Richie, which is, in my mornings, Kristina, I'm chasing a certain feeling in my head. I'm just chasing a feeling with the clock. There's just certain things I feel like I need to get done before I come into the lab. And last night, I'm regretful of the decisions I made for what I was going to do this morning in the gym. Johnny, we talked about making decisions the day before, right? Mm-hmm. I reflect upon what the decision I made last night for what I was going to do this morning. I'm like, I should have made a different one. Not should, but I just didn't get the feeling, Kristina, right? I don't know. It's like these certain milestones within my morning it's like these accomplishment milestones, these accomplishment check marks where when they happen for me, like, all right, boom, 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 right? So I'll get there. It's going to probably take me a couple hours.
So hold on real quick before you move on, Keith. So what are you going to do the rest of the day to respond to that? How are you going to go about that?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So when this show's over, I'm going over to the other side of this wall here. And so our post-show process, Marty, is right after the show's over, we get into and do post-production. I suggested something to Jimmy last night going, why don't we take an hour off? Because when the show's over, I've been going fucking hard and I'm pretty much wired, and I have a hard time coming down from it for a little bit of some time. So what we're going to do, I'm going to leave the lab for an hour. I'm going to go get after it. Going to get my heart rate up and go get a lift in. I know I'm going to feel good after that. And then I'm going to come back and crush my work goals. So that's what I'm going to do, Marty. I've just changed my routine around a little bit this morning. And I'm going to try that out this morning. And I'm confident that about 75 minutes after the show's over, I'm going to have that feeling I'm chasing.
I like it.
That's just when you do.
Go feel some pain.
I will. Absolutely. Yeah. What's that, Richie?
It's like, go feel some pain.
That's right. That's right.
And, let me just make a quick comment to the other side of this, because obviously we're four dudes sitting here talking about this, and we're obviously talking, Kristina obviously being a female, obviously we're males and females a little different. The emotions are different. So one of the things that in the feelings that I'm establishing, Kristina, is love is literally the highest mark on the vibration chart. And so when I basically, excuse me, when I basically take, when I really focus on my intentions in terms of, my daughters and Terry, and I really dive into that love in terms of how grateful I am to have that love in my life, I can literally feel it in my chest. And when I feel that in my chest, that's a real easy one to chase, because it's real easy to get, bent out of shape about a relationship. Something stupid went wrong and you miss what's really important, which is that highest vibration of love. And when you feel that in your chest, it's real easy to stay on point with having that feeling with your relationships throughout the day.
Yes.
Helpful, thank you.
All right, we have our friend Ty Hoesgen coming up here. We're talking the power of the practice mindset. Ty's going to join us here in about 90 seconds. We're going to do the accountability check-in. Thank you, Jimmy, for doing that. Ty's coming up. Ty is a professional public speaker. The dude speaks for a living. He can help you through the power of the practice mindset achieve some big goals as well. But hey, let's do the accountability check-in right now, because mindset, damn it, mindset's everything. You've been hearing us talk about it for the last 15 minutes, right? Mindset alone, it won't change your life. Nope. You must act on it. You just heard me say, I'm going to act on it when the show's over. Otherwise, you're just going to daydream. You're going to spin. Because here's the thing. Two performers don't just think big. They act big. Think about that. Actions speak louder than words, right? Mindset without action, that's just it's like untapped potential. And action without mindset, wasted energy. Yeah, true story. Of course. Listen, when you align the mindset with action, you build momentum. Momentum is the key. So listen, start with one small, clear action today, something you can control, and then set that 30-minute timer to focus. 30 minutes, actually. Come on, I know you got it. One task, no distractions. Review that progress daily. Adjust that action. Don't adjust the goal. And then ask yourself, how are you going to show up today? Ask it. It starts here, but then it goes here. Put yourself into action. There's your accountability check-in this morning on Mornings in the Lab. All right, coming in with Ty Hoesgen, Marty Fitz with Shake and Ty.
What's up, Ty?
Hello, my friend. Good to see you.
Dude, it's awesome to see you too, man. It's been a little bit having you back here in the lab here. We're gonna bring Johnny up here in a second here. Ty's joining us from Toronto, Ontario, I think. Hey, Ty.
Toronto, you betcha. I've never heard it said like that, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
So listen, it's time for center stage. We've got Ty Hoesgen joining us today, a public speaking coach who's all about transforming how you approach communication. He teaches people to stop viewing speaking as a performance and start seeing it as a practice. When I reached out to Ty on the show, I said, Ty, why don't you come join the show? He's like, hey, man, we got to talk about practice speaking instead of always focusing on getting on biggest stage for this whole idea of an opera. The lights are all on. Here's the thing. If you've ever struggled with public speaking, this conversation I know digging into is going to change your perspective. Ty, my friend, welcome to the show. Let's get into the basics of this whole thing. How did you come up with this approach? When I said you come on the show, you're like, Keith, let's talk about public speaking as a practice instead of as a performance. And I'm looking at you to look at our buddy Rich, because I think often when we think about speaking, we're going, okay, I got to get on stage and I got to perform. But you're just like, no, man, it's just about practice every single day. Ty, lean into this idea of practice instead of performance.
Yeah, this is something that I've really struggled with actually a lot of my life. So going back, I used to play piano when I was growing up. And so I was that kid whenever a competition came around, I'd just be sitting there waiting for my turn, breathing heavily, staring at the ground. My mom would try to calm me down. She'd be like, what kind of food do you want to get after? And I'd be like, don't talk to me. In the zone. I was just a kid. Like, the competition didn't really matter. I think the winner of the whole thing got like $50, which at the time maybe seemed like a big deal, but like, this isn't a life or death thing. And I remember one of my piano teachers over the years, she could see how nervous I was getting. And so she asked me once, is this the last time you're ever going to play this instrument? I said, well, no, I want to keep playing. And she's like, why does it matter so much then? I was like, well, fair enough. But at the time, I wasn't quite old enough to really grasp the concept. But I remember that part did stick with me. And then even playing sports growing up, I remember playing baseball. I'd get so nervous anytime it was my time to go up to bat. So sometimes I'd even throw up before games just because I was like, I need to do well. And I wasn't the most athletic kid. So it also didn't help that I rarely did well. There's a memory burned into my brain where bases are loaded, end of the game. It's 2-2. First pitch, strike, I swing, I miss. Second pitch, strike, it's a great pitch, I swing and I miss. Third pitch, horrible pitch, terrible pitch, but I swing anyways, game over. Ty loses the game for the team. It also didn't help that I wasn't good at these things either. That certainly didn't help my case, but I just put so much pressure on myself, which ultimately made it worse. Right? So, is this the last time I'm going to play piano? No. Is this the last time I'm going to play baseball? Probably not. So why is it such a big performance? And this carried with me into adulthood when I entered the professional world, and I was a really shy, nervous, pretty awkward kid. And then that transitioned into a pretty shy, nervous, awkward adult. So first job, I remember kind of like throwing up before the baseball games. I'd even throw up before group meetings at work sometimes because I was just like, I need to sound good. I want to sound smart. I want people to like me. Why won't they like me? So that really made things 10 times harder on me than it had to be. And it was actually, speaking of the baseball, it was actually me coming across a sports psychology video when I was selling life insurance. And it talked about how athletes perform way better in practice. I believe the psychologist was Alan Goldberg, if I remember correctly. And so he talked about how, athletes can go through major slumps, like professional athletes, but then they can just crush it in practice and be exceptional. And it's all about the way that they're approaching it. So we talked about just thinking of everything like practice, even the performance situations. So with this, basically just a little bit more loose, you're a little bit more relaxed. You're not taking it as seriously, and it sounds easier said than done. But if you can kind of train your brain to think, okay, let's say I'm terrified to go on this morning show. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go practice speaking on morning shows. That's all I'm going to do. So whatever happens, as long as I show up and I've done the thing and I've practiced it, that's a win. That's the accomplishment. So another quick example before I wrap up this little story time. Yesterday, I did a presentation for WeWork. So we all know WeWork, big co-working space company. Now, I had practiced leading up to giving that talk, but I was still a little bit nervous beforehand. A little bit, right? It's good to be a little bit nervous. But if I had gone up there and thought, I want to do so amazing, I want to impress everyone, I want everyone to love me, I want to give the best talk I've ever given, that's a crippling amount of anxiety that would create for me. So all I did was I thought, I'm just going to go practice giving this talk. Yeah, there's people there, but I'm probably going to give this talk again. I'm probably going to speak to a group at some other point. So I'm just going to go practice this, and whatever happens, that's a win because I've showed up and done the thing. So practice versus performance really just makes everything easier. And I've taught this to hundreds of people, and it's all quite helpful. So
Yes.
Practice, not performance.
Ty Hoesgen joining us here all the way from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He's a public speaking expert who's helped countless professionals overcome their fear of public speaking through a mindset of practicing over performing. Quickly, Ty, before we wrap up this segment, one little bit of advice for our friend Richie. Getting on stage, Rich has done a lot of speaking, but I'm suspecting, Rich, quick question for you. Do you still get nervous before you get on stage, Rich? And then even Johnny, as you perform, when you were going through your performance, did you still get nervous before we went on stage and did these things? And a little bit of advice from Ty. So Rich, question for you first. Do you still get nervous before you get on stage?
Yes. And the crazy thing is I'm telling my story like it's mine, like I lived it.
You own it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, absolutely. The conditions are always different. It doesn't matter what it is, but I mean, you put that on yourself. So I like where Ty is coming from, because it's a mental thing that we place on ourselves.
Yes.
But yeah. I'm always, I want to learn. I'm a sponge, man. Feed me. So I love it, Ty.
Yeah. Johnny, what about you, man? Do you I know it's been a while since you've been in the wrestling ring, and it's been a while since you've been on the old bodybuilding stage, but do you still struggle with nerves when it comes, or did you struggle with nerves when it came to performing live, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I kind of developed a system for myself without even really knowing it. I was one of those, just like Ty, where I was over the top nervous. I had the expectations I put on myself were so great that I would just be, I would sometimes even be shaking. And basically what would happen is when I was young, I would get myself so wound up that my system would just basically start settling itself down, almost like some sort of a weird survival mechanism. It would just kind of happen. But I had to get to this like really over the top, uncomfortable place. Once I started to realize that was happening, then I started to kind of promote, the idea that I would start to relax. And as I got, as I practiced this more, once I became aware, I started to practice it. And then once I became, where I was an adult and I was, and this was happening back when I was in school. Like if I had to, talk in front of the class, or especially read in front of the class. But really what it came down to is whether I was wrestling, bodybuilding, speaking, whatever it was, I literally would, or going out in the ring in front of a whole shitload of people. Before I go out, I find myself in a very calm place where things are moving slower, and I'm able to react accordingly because those thoughts aren't coming at me so fast that I can't identify what they are. So there's definitely and it was a process that, because I was such a, dense little son of a bitch, this is another system that I created for myself just out of surviving. So again, another blessing.
Yeah, no kidding. Marty, quick question for you. We're gonna head over to the Marty.
I was about to say, come on, man.
I do have something for you.
Go ahead. Come on, man.
Marty. So you're a positive mofo. I've never known somebody as positive as you. Frankly, you're a very, very positive human being. There's this idea. There's these people think about focusing on positivity is a form of privilege. Marty, you're privileged, man. You can always be positive. You get in your mind. You talk yourself into positivity. For people in harsher life situations, people that are really, truly stuck right now, it might not be so easy, Marty. It's not just get up and head to the gym or get up and go for a walk. They got a lot going on. What's your take on that idea, Marty?
Well, first off, I want to say focusing on negativity is a privilege as well. And in my opinion, the fact that, we got so much stuff going on in life. We got work, we got family, I feel like it's too much stuff going on to be focusing on negativity.
It's a choice for sure, brother.
It's definitely a choice. The fact that you had that choice. And then I wanted to add. I know you asked me a different question, but I did want to add my 2 cents on the reps and the practice.
Yeah.
When I first got to college, I struggled with being nervous. That was the first time. Because I was in a college town, so I would go to the mall. Fans would know me, and I was first time coming off the bench playing behind older guys. So I used to get super nervous. I would get yanked out the game for one mistake. Right. And so what helped me was going to the gym, getting extra shots and getting extra reps in to make sure I was ready. And that's how I learned, like, repetition is everything. Always stay ready for the opportunity, even if it isn't present or it looks like it's not even coming. So sorry, I forgot your question.
No, dude,
but
no.
I did want to add that in. And now even with, my show that I do outside of here, you ain't never going to catch me being nervous. I used to be nervous. I used to look at the comments and people would be like, hey, Chris, give it up. Like, people would come on the show and comment that, like, give it up. Your basketball career didn't work out. Stop talking about fitness. You're only doing this because basketball don't work out. They would come on the show and write that on my live show. And so I just kept getting reps in. 3 shows a week. Last week I did 5 shows. So just, repetition is everything.
I love it.
And when the jealous little bastards come in and talk smack, it just tells you you're on the right track.
I got you.
If they're talking smack, you're on. There we go, baby.
There you go. Sorry about that, Keith. I had to throw that in there. I couldn't help it.
So no apologies. I'm glad you shared that because I've witnessed that, and now I have the seed of what I've seen transpire. Right, knowing that little story about you explains a lot about why you show up the way you show up every single day. Right. And I didn't know you were nervous before. But hey, listen, Ty, you've given us a lot to think about as we've had our conversation today. Before we wrap, in a minute or less, what's the one key takeaway you want Business Athlete Nation to remember about adopting this idea of practice mindset in public speaking? Ty Hoesgen.
Think of every situation as practice. So we're even talking about the performances. So if you're actually on the stage, that is practice. If you're having a tough conversation, that's practice for having tough conversations. If you're speaking in a meeting, talking to a huge prospect that you want to get, that's practice for those situations in the future. So thinking about every situation, and public speaking isn't just on a stage. Public speaking is speaking to another person, in my opinion, in any situation. You're in public and you're speaking. So think of all of these situations as practice. Take the pressure off. Just focus on the little bits you can do each day, and you're going to be surprised how much easier speaking becomes.
Awesome. All right, Ty Hoesgen joining us here, teaching you about changing your life, nation, the power of the practice mindset. Ty, you come back, hang out with us again sometime, my friend. Good to have you here. Listen, if that conversation resonated with you, I invite you to hit the like button. With Shake and Shelly, I see you in there. I see you, Shinko. I see you, Good Time. I see you, Cosmic. Yes, I do see you guys. I feel like I'm doing Romper Room right now. Listen, we want to hear how you are turning your challenges into strengths. I want to hear that. Remember, Mornings in the Lab is on every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, the only show that keeps you guys accountable and ready to crush your biggest goals. Now you guys hear those tunes. Yeah, that's Marty's intro. I can see him getting prepped. He's putting on the tank top. He's getting those arms flexed. Marty's walking into the gym.
I should start doing that.
I think you should, yeah. Christopher Martin, See Marty Fit Tip. We'll be back in 2 minutes to get into the deep dive on continuing the challenges of the practice mindset with our friend Richie Rich Ingram. Get after it, Marty.
Let's get it. All right, we got the fitness tip for today. How to know when your fitness routine isn't serving you. This is a big one, all right? Now, your fitness routine needs to push you, of course. But these are some signs that it's time to switch it up. First of all, lack of progress. You're not seeing progress in your strength, your stamina, or you're not seeing in your physical improvements when you look in the mirror, right? You hit a plateau. Time to switch it up. It's not time to give up on the gym and go try the thing that you saw on Instagram that just came out and it's popular and they pay for some ads. All right. It's time to switch up your workouts. Maybe you need to eat cleaner. All right. But lack of progress is a key indicator. Boredom. If you're dreading your workouts, you're just going through the motions. Time to do something different. Now, of course, we all have days where we don't feel like going. Right now, you're gonna have to push through those days. But I'm saying, you've been doing this for months, and you're just like, man, I'm sick of this. Go ahead, feel free to switch it up. Johnny gave me something the other day, kind of going off track here, but he told me to do my chest and shoulders routine backwards. I did it. It was a great workout. I'm gonna do it again next week. Frequent soreness and injuries, constant aches or recurring injuries mean your body is not recovering properly. Probably need to do some more rest, probably need to warm up or implement some yoga or post-workout stretching. Mental burnout, okay? Fitness is just as much mental as it is physical. If your workouts feel like a chore, it's time to switch it up. And why do you need to switch it up? All right, you want to prevent a plateau. You never want to be putting the work in and not getting the results. Mental stimulation, new routines will keep your mind engaged and motivated. You'll look forward to the workout. Injury prevention, we don't want to get hurt, all right? And you don't want to overuse your muscles, all right? So change breeds growth. Keep it fresh, and your fitness journey will keep evolving. That's the fitness tip for today.
All right. Christopher Martin, a C Marty Fit Tip every single day, giving you guys some fitness advice to help you get rolling. It's time for the deep dive where we go beyond the surface. Yes, we do. We explore what it really means to adopt the practice mindset today. Today, we're going to focus on somebody who truly embodies this approach. Our friend, our co-host, Rich Ingram. Now, listen, guys, if you don't know Rich's story, it's one of resilience, discipline, and transformation. Yeah, from his time in the military, where he mastered the art of practice as a gunner, to his recovery after losing his arm in combat, all the way to now becoming the elite endurance athlete that he is. Richie practices the power of practice in real life. Without the power of the practice mindset, Richie is not where he is today. Rich, you learned the importance of the practice mindset in some of the most high pressure environments on the planet, frankly, starting in the military, now, in your endurance athletic journey. Richie, how did you develop the mindset in a role where practicing those techniques wasn't just important? Frankly, it was a matter of life and death. Rich, talk about this idea of the practice mindset to change your life. Rich Ingram.
So one, what the military taught me was battle drills. They remove the decision-making process, right, for the most part. So it frees up your brain to do other things. So like in the civilian world, it's no different, right? That's when we talk about consistency. John is big on habits. Well, it's the same thing. And so when we can develop habits, put our brains on autopilot on doing the same thing, it frees up our brains to take on these unforeseen challenges that arise, right? So we can handle more stress. We can handle, more of the trauma and put more effort towards our emotional stability. Now, at the time when I was in the military, I didn't really understand that. It took me a long time when I started studying this. And what I found is that you have to look at pains and gains as equitable and part of the process. And so, again, what Marty was saying earlier about, okay, whatever emotions, whether they're positive or negative, don't let the emotions pass by. We don't want them to control us, but at the same time, if I'm feeling anxious.
Oh, we lost Richie's audio. Hey, Johnny. So, Richie, I lost your audio there, pal. Johnny and Marty, there's this idea that practicing can only take you so far. And I'm going to be specific with both you, Christopher Martin, and you, John Anderson. Because, Chris, you're like, I had to fucking work for all of my athletic skill. I had to put in the reps. And Johnny, I think you said the same thing. Some would argue that you either have the natural ability or you don't.
Oh, man.
Can you actually, so John, okay, I'll start with you because I can see you leaning in, and Marty, I'm going to follow up with you. John,
tell me a list, baby.
Tell a person listening right now, it's like, oh, fuck, I don't have the ability. I don't want to, I can't put the work in to do it. No, I don't think there's not enough reps that could teach me to be as good as John Anderson or as Christopher Martin. Johnny, dispel that myth.
Yeah. Well, first off, I would argue that I started off more subpar, so to speak, than most people listening. And when it comes to practice, I mean, granted, I learned that practice was my way to problem solve as a youngster. But let's forget about when I was a youngster. I'm 52 years old. I'm a successful dude. You know, I've had multiple 7-figure businesses. I've had 3 different sporting careers on an international basis. I've got a great family. And let me tell you something. I practice being the man I want to be every day of my life. It's never stopped, because when we practice, we're getting better. And as soon as we stop practicing and get better, the whole idea of waking up and feeling good goes away, because strip it down to the bare minimum. When you do whatever you do today to feel like you got a little bit better, when you go to bed, you feel good. If you lay your head down on the pillow and you know you laid up, you know you didn't do your shit, you don't feel good. And break it to the most simple format. Practice every day what you need to practice to get a little bit better, so you can go to bed and feel good about yourself.
Marty?
Absolutely. And I love that about going to bed and whether you did your shit or not, because it's going to eat you alive. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be able to sleep well. Right. And so a lot of people have that feeling, but they still can't look in the mirror and say, hey, I should have done X, Y, Z. Because if you think about confidence, what builds confidence? In my opinion, I feel like accomplishing difficult tasks build confidence. And those difficult tasks are the shit that you thinking about at night that you didn't do. So,
but Marty, let me challenge you though, brother. Let's go back and forth for a second, because somebody's laying there going, nah, but fuck, I can't do it, man. I can't. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time in the week. I got my kids. I got my family. I got all these obligations. I got my boss stressing me out. There's no way that I have enough time to put in enough repetitions, to create enough habits to change my life. Practicing is not part of my mindset. Convince me otherwise, Marty. John Anderson.
Well, you want to go first, Mark? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be quick. I'll let you cut loose, man. All right. I'll say that wherever it is that you want to be. So let's say you want to be the all-star dad who's handling business. I'm the family man, doing my shit in the house. Do you think there isn't a dad out there who's done that, who hasn't been through what you've been through? And I think a lot of people, they'll make the excuse and think that maybe someone who's where they want to be have had an easier path. And that's not the case necessarily all the time, And so at the end of the day, where do you want to be? You want to be the all-star dad, or you want to be the trash dad? That's how I look at it. So.
Yeah. Johnny.
Well, when it comes down to it, I have yet to meet a single person who I've coached who's come to me that said, I don't have enough time. And once we do an audit, there's plenty of time. They're just not using their time properly. And when you start to, help them understand that there is time, they're just choosing to waste that time, then it'll open up kind of a different thought process. But, when just by someone saying, I can't, right then and there, they're relinquishing the accountability of even trying to figure it out. So when someone says, I can't, I don't have enough time, you pretty much guarantee they have the time. They haven't tried to figure it out. So if you want to practice something, yes, you can practice something. The question is, are you going to take accountability for the time you're wasting to actually put it into the shit that you want to be practicing? And I think when it comes down to it, a lot of people will say what they want. But we live in a society where it's easy to say, oh yeah, I want this, I want that. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of doing the shit you don't want to do, all of a sudden what they want is hiding behind, I can't, I don't have time.
Yeah. Yes. Listen, if there's one thing we can take from Rich's story, we got Richie back here. It's that, and even from John and Marty, it's that the practice mindset, I believe, is more than just showing up, right? It's about believing. That's what we sell here on the show. That's what we sell here every single day, is believing, possibility, being able to achieve things that you don't think you can, through accountability, through constant showing up. But really what it comes down to, doesn't it, Richie, is that you have to believe that no matter the obstacle, no matter how hard the road is going to be in front of you. Mom walks into the hospital and looks at you and says, here's the fishing rod. And you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, what's the one thing you want our audience right now, Richie, to know, that to take away from your journey about that it's more than just showing up, it's knowing and believing, Rich Ingram, knowing and believing that you can improve by showing up every single fucking day. Richie.
Yeah, I think, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, got you, baby.
Yeah.
I think you have to intimately know that you are fucking enough. There is nothing. If someone comes to me and asks me, hey, do you think you can do this? Do I think I can do it? I know I can fucking do it. So I wake up every day with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to fucking dominate today. And that's how I attack it. And it's a fucking attack, dude. We come in with the fucking purpose and we roll.
Dude, I fucking love that energy, man. I love that. And listen, if you're feeling inspired by Rich's journey, I'm going to tell you, man, hit that subscribe button, like it, share with friends, drop us a comment, and let us know how you're practicing that resilience in your life. You know, we started this show, Johnny, 1 second. We started the show to give you guys something to lean into. If you're whirling over and starting your day going, fuck, I don't have the support mechanisms. No, you do. You got Rich Ingram over here. You got John Anderson over here. You got C. Marty Fit over here. You got Kristina. You got Keith. We all struggle like you guys do. We just show up repetitiously believing that we can achieve this. When I showed up in March to start this morning show, and then I called Marty a few months later, you know, I believe we're creating the biggest thing ever, right? And it's this innate belief that you can achieve it. So listen, every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we start the show to help you guys get rolling. Johnny, before we hit the lifestyle tip, you had a comment you wanted to make. John Anderson.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for everyone out there, you know, with this whole idea of, you know, I don't have time. I want to start to do this, but I can't. You know, it's like all of these hurdles are in front of you that you're creating for yourself. Just remember this: the man who believes he can and the man he believes he cannot are both correct.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that true though? Right?
He's coming out with the nuggets today, man.
And I guess from that perspective of Johnny, before we get the lifestyle tip, is that you got to battle which one is which, right? So
it's a choice. You got to make the choice. Are you going to believe that you can and start taking accountability? Or are you going to hide behind I can't? Because if you believe you can't, you're correct. If you believe you can, you're also correct. It's just a different path of doing it.
All right, let's keep things rolling here. We got Jory Jansen waiting in the green room. We're going to talk gut health. Jory, coming up in about 90 seconds or so. We've been talking about the power of the mindset. Change your mind to rock and roll. Arm, I see you. You had to change your mindset first. It was all talk for me after getting kiddos to school, put my headphones on and clean the whole house with a smile. So humble and grateful. Thank you. We're grateful for you showing up as well, Arm. Shinku, good to see you there. And good time, of course, always good to see you as well. I know you get after it every single day. And good time, it's the power of the mindset you bring every single day. It's changing your life. Johnny, let's get the lifestyle tip, brother. I know you got something up there to offer to Business Athlete Nation. I know you got a nugget. I know they're listening and waiting to hear what you got to say. Let's rock and roll, brother.
Here we go. All right. If you're not failing, you're not trying. And I mean, you're not trying hard enough, because failure is the front door to success. Failure is a piece of the equation for success. So ask yourself, are you going through the motions when you try, or are you trying with some conviction, with the idea you're going to get one of two outcomes? You're either going to fail or you're going to succeed. Because when you fail, you learn. When you fail, you find a better way to try next time. When you fail, the people that are successful are going to come pick you up, pat you on the bottom, and say, great job, do it again. Because failure is part of the equation. So ask yourself a question. Are you trying hard enough to fail? And if you're not, it's time to do a little inventory on how hard you're trying. It's time to get the job done. It's time to fail fast. It's time to pursue your success by trying so hard that you fail. Remember, failure is the front door to success. Rock and roll.
All right, failure is the front door to success. Truly is. That's what we're doing here today. The power of the practice mindset. And hey, we got right now, it's the protein break with the cartoon guy, Keith Bilous, here this morning on Mornings in the Lab. Jory Jansen's joining us. The protein break, where we take a moment to fuel you with some real knowledge that can help you power through your day. And today, Richie, looking at you again, brother, we're diving into a topic that every endurance athlete, yes, you, Rich, yes, you, Robbie Britton, you need to pay attention. A healthy gut. And we're welcoming back our resident nutrition expert, food expert, Jory Jansen. Love having Jory in the lab, whether you're hitting long distance runs, cycling, or pushing through a triathlon. That gut can make or break your performance. Let's get into it. Jory, how are you today? And when we talk about the guts with endurance, we're always thinking about muscle, stamina, recovery. But Jory, what about the gut? I get the suspicion that it's always overlooked. Jory, let's talk about the gut.
Okay, I'm trying to be serious. I love the cartoon figure, but the gut is so important. It's now I'm focused. It plays such a huge role. It's known now as our second brain, right? It has so much communication throughout the entire body, so when that part, our second brain, is not functioning well, then everything else is not going to function well. And when you think of endurance athletes, wow, yeah, it's the difference between competing, hitting the run or you're having the runs. So you really have to take care
I like that.
Or
that was good.
Mess, right? And so what I find with athletes is that because they're so hardcore and they're so hard on their bodies, more than someone like me that I exercise, go for a bike ride, I'll jog. That's more for my health. It's not for this podium performance. And when you're focusing on a podium performance, that's stress, that impacts sleep, that impacts how you digest or don't digest food. So there's a lot of things that need to happen outside of showtime that helps, so that way you're more likely to be able to perform. And so if we think a high level athlete or the general population, what you do outside of showtime is really important.
So, Jory, let's break it down for the audience paying attention right now. So there's four reasons why gut health would be crucial for endurance athletes, right? And Johnny, you too, brother. So nutrient absorption, inflammation control, immune system boost, mental clarity and focus. Is there anything I missed there, Jory, in terms of those four principles we'd want to pay attention to when it comes to gut health?
I think that pretty much handles everything in life. Yeah.
But some folks might say, is gut health really that important? I've gotten by, my standard nutrition for years. It seems to be fine for me. I don't need to focus on my gut health. Why now? Jory, are we talking more about gut health than we ever have talked about gut health?
Because it's linked to everything. It's absolutely linked to everything. If we're looking at the increase in cancers that are happening in the gut, right? That's at a high level. If we're looking at irritable bowel, if we think of Crohn's and colitis, celiac disease, like all of this is inflammation, right? And so if we're not looking at the health of the gut, which is where our immune system is, it's where we absorb key nutrients. So if all of that, if we're eating and we have a bunch of inflammation in the gut, we have these microvilli that help absorb nutrients. And when everything's inflamed, they go flat. So what happens is these nutrients have nothing to get into and it shoots through us. So now we can become deficient in nutrients. And as a high level athlete, especially endurance sport, if you don't have your B12 stores, if you don't have your iron stores, you're not going to perform well. Never mind just having enough calories. I think in North America, we generally can easily get our calories, but if we're not getting the nutrients, then that's going to impact overall health.
Yeah.
Keith, when you opened up by saying, what about the guy that says this? Well, that guy doesn't know how bad he feels because he hasn't felt good yet.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So I had a question. Yeah. So Johnny, I had a question for you. So somebody who eats a high protein diet like yourself, if your gut isn't working right, you're not working at your best. How do you, as somebody who's been an elite level athlete for all these years, how have you managed gut health and how have you made it play a healthy role in your training and recovery, John Anderson?
Well, Jory brought forth a really, really important element that most people have no clue of, is that the stomach gives us, other than the brain, the stomach gives us more signals than any other organ in the body. And when you tune into that, it gives you such a roadmap. It's unbelievable. I mean, in terms of how you sleep, your energy levels, how you perform, your clarity of mind. I mean, when your gut health is in check, there's a cascade of positive shit that happens to you. And when you understand, how you feel when all that is in line, you don't want to go back, nor would you nor could you function at the same level if your gut health is turned upside down. So a huge chunk of me navigating what I've done was literally just listening to the signals of my body. And when it's like when you walk if you walk through the forest, you can hear a few birds and this, that, and the other. But if you walk into the forest and you say, I'm going to intentionally listen to the forest, you'll be blown away with all the sounds you're going to hear. Well, start intentionally listening to the signals of the stomach, and you're going to hear a whole lot more than you ever thought was even there.
Yeah. So Shinku had a question actually, and I got some. So as we wrap up the segment here, Joy, let's talk solutions. If you're an endurance athlete, or maybe just Shinku tuning in right now, or Arm, or one of our awesome guests tuning in right now, if you're somebody looking to improve gut health, and I hear this from Johnny and Marty every single day, so I'm actually going to get these guys aside for a second, because what they're going to put up here is the same thing you're going to see. But I want to hear a fresh voice. Sure. What are some actionable steps for somebody to take to improve their gut health?
So one of the easy things is start making sure you're well hydrated. People forget about the simple tools. So start drinking your fluids, mostly water. That's number one, because we can get overwhelmed with all of the things that I'm going to list today.
Yes.
Start with one thing. Let's start with hydrating. That impacts everything. Another thing is to make sure that you're getting pre and probiotics in. And these are just fancy words for foods that we can consume every day.
Yes.
So you need the prebiotic, to help. So that way it feeds the probiotic. And prebiotics are things like garlic, onions, bananas, asparagus. So these are foods that you can find everywhere. Find ones that you like. You can Google it, ChatGPT, whatever. You can find a bunch of them. And so, and then you need the probiotics. So we know a lot of these: kefir, yogurt, anything that's fermented usually can help with that. Now, we don't know the exact amounts, but certain probiotics will help with certain symptoms. And there's a whole whack of symptoms, right? So there is something that's called the Probiotic Chart Canada that you can go look up, and you can find all of these probiotics that help with gut health, depending on the symptoms, whether you're having migraines or IBS. So finding those things is really helpful. Creatine monohydrate might also be beneficial to the gut. So that's something that both men and women can look at consuming. It's not just for a quality workout and performance, it's also for gut health. L-glutamine, you can get that from food sources, or you may need to supplement. But the key is to start with just a balanced meal plan. And if you don't know what that looks like anymore, you can consult with a registered dietitian that understands gut health. If you're looking for sport performance and gut health, then find a dietitian that also has gone on to do the education of sport, because there are some other complications there too, because you can't just rest the gut all the time. What you're doing in performance does irritate the gut.
Yeah.
So diet, hydration, I think, is big. Getting enough sleep, because we're all trying to decrease inflammation, and when we lack that sleep, that interferes with gut health too.
And it's interesting because I hear every single day, and I love it because I hear every single day from Johnny and Marty, and I'm not going to do their voice impressions right now, Richie, but
come on, man.
Drink lots of water, stay hydrated. So these boys they compete with how much water these two guys drink, right? Johnny, if I hear
you got me today, John.
Yeah. Rory, one of the things that I know you were gonna throw on the table as well, but it's limit processed foods, right? Focus on nutrient dense whole ingredient foods. John,
she didn't mention one bit of processed foods in what she was talking about getting in. Yeah, for those of you that didn't catch that, she only mentioned single ingredient foods.
Yes,
he wasn't saying make sure you eat your protein bars and make sure that you eat this processed food. She's talking about shit that gets in your system, that digests well, that helps the gut health.
And alcohol, inflammatory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big
one. Yes. And late night trips to Burger King and McDonald's after the alcohol at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. So, gentlemen, if you want to call Marty, Richie, or John on Sunday because you want to do some physical fitness activities, don't go for fucking food at 2 o'clock in the morning after you've been
watching my podcast, man.
And then complaining about the gut health, right? So,
The other thing, though, just real quick, is that athletes are a little bit like high performing athletes are they're a lot different than general population. You do at some point need to consume a lot of simple sugars, right, for performance. So what you're doing before and after competition is really important to help heal the gut, because in order to perform, those carbohydrates and quick acting carbohydrates have to be consumed for sport at that level. So it's what you're doing before and after to help with the recovery process is important.
awesome. I'm going to bring Kristina up on stage here in a second as well here, and we're going to get to the personal brand bite here in a quick second. But we got some comments from the feed here, Jory. I want to quickly throw on stage here. But Arm says, I have to say that gut health is the only reason why I'm still alive. I still have no diagnosis from puking since 13 and fatigue since 16, and this is chronic both from docs and they say they don't know. So clearly, gut health is a thing for people. And Shinku says, what's a good supplement? Hey, Shinku, there's a good supplement, just whole nutrient-dense food, right? Jory, John, just eat whole good foods, and that's going to be probably the first step forward.
It's the easiest one. It's the easiest. Eliminating processed food is the biggest hurdle for most people, and if you can do that, then everything that Jory said is just like a turbocharger.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Jory.
And I think.
Go ahead, Richie. Richie, go ahead.
No, and I think the number one start is removing complex carbs, like removing complex sugars. I mean, like if you can do anything right now, just get rid of that.
Yes.
I can tell such a difference if I go eat a donut and how sore I am later.
Interesting. So while one would say the donut just that quick fix of fuel, your body gets sore from having it. You don't feel very good, do you?
No, man. You get more inflamed with those sugars. So instead, right after a workout, I make sure that I have a 3-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein, but I'm looking at fruits, right? Fruits, what I eat.
Oh, I love that. Hey, Jory, Arm says, is lemon slices in water with chia seeds bad or good? Just thought I would ask for the pro Jory while she's here.
That's an interesting combination. I would say if you enjoy it, go for it. But chia seeds great for you for sure. The omega-3s, the extra protein, that's great. Water, obviously fantastic. The lemon is, if you enjoy it, for sure. Just be careful with the ascorbic acid and your pearly whites. Keep those healthy. But if you enjoy it, go for it.
Awesome. And we got a mom here on the show here. We got Kristina Flynn here. Kristina, you're hearing a lot of these things thrown on the table by Jory and Johnny. What do you take from this conversation about gut health before we move into the personal brand bite with yourself, Kristina Flynn?
Gut health is one of those areas that we don't talk enough about, and it's really nice to see more people talking about it. I think something that is really interested me with gut health, which we don't have time to talk about today, but similar to how we don't talk about our nervous system, that connection between our gut and our brain. And, I've had people say to me a lot of times, think about gut when it relates to your mental health and your mental wealth as well. There's a connection there. Again, we don't have time to go into it today, but these are kinds of things that we want to be talking about and conversations we want to be having, because it's not just the same old. And we know that oftentimes in the past, new research shows itself, and we have to actually change up what we've been doing. It's not the same as what we were raised with by any means.
Yes. So listen, if there's one thing you can take from today's protein break, it's that gut health, regardless if you're a cartoon character or a real human, isn't just a side thought. It's a foundational piece of your performance as a human being. So listen, take care of your gut. That's just just take care of your gut. Eat good foods, get some good sleep, and drink lots of water. So listen, drop a comment below with your favorite gut-friendly foods or supplements, and don't forget, Nation, Mornings in the Lab is live every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern time right here. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We bring our friend Jory into the lab. Marty, what's this? Yeah, Jory Jansen joining us every Monday.
She earned that one. She absolutely earned it. Yeah. The GOAT, Jory Jansen, our nutrition expert. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. And hey, we got this sound coming up here. It sounds a little bit like this. And when we do this sound, it initiates a twitch by our friend, our coach, Kristina Flynn. Jory, have an awesome day.
Thank you, Jory.
We got to put
Thanks, Jory.
We got to put
appreciate
Flynn
you,
on
Joey.
stage because we want to learn something about personal branding. Kristina Flynn, what are you going to teach us today about the personal brand bite with Kristina Flynn?
I've got a little mindset shift for y'all today. I got a little mindset shift for y'all. In fact, I'm going to say, let's do this differently this year. Let's say that October 9th, today, October 9th is your new January 1st. Yes, you heard me right. October 9th is your new January 1st. So a theme that I have battled my entire life that I know is very similar for a lot of elite athletes is this all or nothing mindset. If I can't show up at my best, I don't show up at all. If I'm not good at something, I don't even try. And if I can't give it my all, I give it nothing. But the truth is that mindset has given me a whole lot of nothing. Quite frankly, the reality is that very few things in life are all or nothing. Your plan does not need to be perfect. It doesn't have to start on a Monday, and it sure as hell doesn't have to wait until January 1st. So instead of thinking like an activist who thinks no step forward is ever enough, no step forward should ever be celebrated, start thinking like an innovator, like an entrepreneur. Celebrate the small steps, celebrate the imperfect steps, because that's where real progress happens. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Do your planning today and start your New Year's resolutions now. Because when you wait for everything to be perfect, you end up doing absolutely fucking nothing. Yes, it's that simple. I have entered my no fucks era. And I promise you, if you take action on today's brand bite, you will be one step closer to entering yours. You got this.
All right, George Jackson, Kristina Flynn with the personal brand bite every morning here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. That was a good one. I like that one today there, Flinner. That's a spectacular little tip for us all to hang on to here this morning.
Thank you so much, Keith.
There you go. Hey, listen, so we're getting into the Morning Loop Reloaded. It's this time where I get this sound effect on the show as I keep working on my buttons. And it sounds like this. I always think of Richie Rich when this sound effect comes out. I think I'll take the glass off this part of the show. All right, so hey, I got something.
Oh, look at Rich. Damn. Okay, Rich.
Yes,
wow.
Yeah, man, I don't mess around. Yeah.
Wow.
I gotta tell you guys, I was getting ready for the show today, and I was thinking about you, Johnny, with what I was doing. I was going to put my robe on and join the show with my robe today. I thought it could be Robe Thursdays or Robe Wednesday.
We got to do that. We got to put together a robe day.
Yeah.
Sure. It's going to get cold soon, so that'll actually be fitting.
And then what we could do, Johnny, is we could not tell anybody what may or may not be worn underneath the robe, and then we may play a game on the show with folks, like wondering what's Marty got under the robe, what's Richie got under the robe, what's no.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to wear shit under the robe. You know, the reason why I don't stand. You don't see me standing up and dancing because you see my drawers. I've never worn pants to this show, not once.
Oh, I love it. All right, we're reloading with the Morning Loop, and we're going to get into, I got something for you guys, which is 7 phrases. We're talking the power of the practice mindset. We're talking about how to change your life with the power of the practice mindset. And I found something, ladies and gentlemen, to help us get through life and defuse situations. Right. So I got 7 phrases that I want to throw on the table, 7 phrases that will help you de-escalate a situation. And I'm trying to find my tab here. 7 phrases that will instantly de-escalate an argument. Right. So if we're either going to work today, or we're going to a situation with our kids or our family, and we're talking about practice. Right. So the first one that's going to help you instantly de-escalate any situation you're going into, nation, right now. I'll look at you. I'm going to start with you, Kristina Flynn. Let's go around the table. Number 1, help me understand. Conflicts tend to escalate when someone isn't feeling heard or understood. Saying help me understand is a fast way to approach the situation with, I love this word, curiosity and openness. Kristina, help me understand. Talk about that.
You need to, it immediately doesn't make you go into I'm going to save you mode, or I'm going to go what I think you need and try to give you advice based on that. You're always switching it to the other person to say, I don't know what's happening right now. Help me understand what's happening. Let's try to break this down. Let's try to have a conversation. And why practice is important for this That simple phrase is very hard to do, especially if somebody's coming at you, especially if someone's real frustrated with you and there's emotion in the situation. But stopping and practicing saying that will allow you to do it really easily. So it opens up the conversation to say, yo, I can see there's obviously a lot of emotion here. Help me understand what's going on in your mind so we can have a conversation about this.
Yes, yes. Richie, I'm going to come to you, brother. So, arguments often become a you versus me situation rather than it's a you and me versus the problem. When we're going with our spouses or our partners or our business partners, we tend to, it's you versus me. This leaves the two of you divided rather than united. So the recommendation is, Richie, that is a problem. Let's collaboratively figure this out. By inviting your loved one, by inviting your colleague, your collaborator to solve the problem together, you're prioritizing a connection, Richie, instead of a division to solve a problem. What do you think of that comment, Richie?
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about disarming, right? That's the first thing we want to do. We have, we have use of force, and there's different levels of it. So the first thing we want to do is disarm the situation. Well, as soon as we can get everybody to the table working on the same problem, everybody thinks it's their idea. And so now, instead of in fight mode, we're coming up with this collaborative solution, and everybody believes that the other person is invested in their betterment.
Yes, yes, yes. Johnny, one of the easiest things we can do with our partner is to sit down and listen and say, that's a good point. Again, we're talking phrases that can instantly de-escalate an argument. Johnny, the power of those 4 words, that's a good point.
Oh man, I'll tell you, when it comes down to it, if you're really trying to keep the peace, agreeing, it's going to shut it down. Like I always make the joke. This is obviously with people that I don't really give a shit about. Someone says to me, you're a dickhead. I'll say, you're probably right. It's over. Yeah. If I defended myself, now I got a beef on my hands.
Yes.
So obviously when it comes to loved ones, it's a little different because you don't want to lie to them. But when it comes down to it, usually with a loved one, there's something about their point that you can agree with. So when you basically kind of you shift your position to where you're on the same page with them to some extent, it takes that confrontation away. I'm big on, I think that confrontation with loved ones is something that we should really be careful with because a lot of times those things they escalate and, unfortunately people they react rather than respond. And most times when people react, they're saying shit that they don't really mean. But you can't unring that bell.
Yes.
When someone that you love says something hurtful, you can forgive them, but it's kind of always logged deep in your subconscious that person has the ability to kind of come off the handle and say some hurtful shit. So that's kind of my take is that, when you some level of agreeing with the situation will really disarm what's going on.
Yeah. Marty, what I'm hearing you say is this: interpretation is a powerful contextual validation of what somebody's saying. You can interpret something differently than how I'm interpreting something. I can be saying something to you that I'm hearing very differently. One of the ways that we can de-escalate an argument, Marty, is to lean in and say, so what I'm hearing you say is this, Chris. Talk about that. Did I get that right? Is that what you meant? Talk about the power of using that statement. What I'm hearing you say is, Keith.
You say Keith, Marty. But
I'm using you. I mean, you.
Okay. I got you. No. I agree with that. And there's nothing like trying to get your point across to someone and they're just not listening, or you feel like they're not listening. And we kind of talked about that the other day, listening to hear. Or listen to respond opposed to listening to understand. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want your partner to feel like what they're saying matters.
Yes.
And things can always get interpreted differently. And not to get off track here, but let's say I post a video like, hey, this lady here is wrong because she believes XYZ about fitness. They'll be like, but she's pretty. I didn't say she wasn't pretty. I didn't say that. That wasn't the point. But it's so easy for things to get misinterpreted. So that's actually a great point. And I'm glad you threw that to me because I need to use that more in my life.
Yeah. Kristina, when you sit down with Aaron and you guys have an argument, one of the ways that we can de-escalate something is I need to take a break. I'm feeling too upset to have a meaningful conversation. I have sucked at this because I've thought we got to talk, and I'm only learning the power of, okay, well, hold on, let's de-escalate everything. We're not having a meaningful chat right now. Kristina, a tactic to de-escalate an argument is simply saying, I need to take a break.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a little earlier. We underestimate the power of our nervous system in a lot of these connections. And we get to this point of dysregulation. And many of us, and I was the same, was taught like, you never go to bed angry. So if you never go to bed angry, that means you're going to talk the shit out of something before you go to bed, versus I am a person, I'm flight. When I am dysregulated, I need to leave the situation because my brain stops working. And then if you're going to force me and continuously make me chat about something, I'm actually not going to be able to think or to process. So I'm going to shut down. And when I shut down, the conversation goes nowhere. So I think there's a lot of power in this that a lot of people need to accept more. It does not mean I'm done with this. That's a very different conversation. A lot of people go, I'm done with this, I'm gone. What you're saying is, I don't have the regulation or I don't have the capacity right now to have this conversation. This conversation is important to me. It absolutely is. But can we come back to it in a moment when I am a little less heightened or in a state where I can actually participate?
Yeah, that's good. I want to share something right there too. And like personally in my life, like, I'm an over communicator. I'll tend to beat a dead horse. And Terry, there are times where is that a new one, Mark? You've never heard that one before?
I love it, man. I love it, man.
So as I over communicate in many cases, it basically just takes Terry to the point where she's not processing. It takes her too far. And so, she says, I need to take a break. It's not good for us to continue this conversation. And so, of course, I let her have that. It was very difficult for me to let her have that in the beginning. But what I want to say in the lesson in this whole thing was, when she's doing that, it's because I am not behaving in a way that's allowing her to stay in the conversation.
Yeah.
So if your partner needs a break, go look in the fucking mirror. Yep. What in the hell are you doing to push that person over the edge where they need to dismiss themselves? So that's just a page out of my book. And it was very difficult for me to recognize that. And then even harder to recognize when I needed to shut up, because, she was getting to that point where she needed to take a break and I didn't see it coming. And now I'm much better at that. But you have to really understand yourself, because it was my defaults. It was my behavior patterns that were automatic that were doing this. And if I didn't register that and shut those down, this would have never stopped.
Well, we all process things differently. And I think that's the point. Like oftentimes in a fight or in an argument, we're trying to process the way that works for us, but we're not trying to process things the way it works for our partner. So my wife is the same. My wife's a talker and she wants to talk it through because that actually helps her think it through. And then she's able to communicate better. But to your point, then I get in a mode of shutdown and I'm not able to participate in the conversation because that's not how I process things. So acknowledging and recognizing that the way you process might be different than your partner's is a really strong step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why this show has been magic for me, because of conversations like this. And Johnny, you sharing stories like that, because John, I can put the same pants on you are for the last 3 minutes and say the exact same words, man. Identical to what you just explained, right? So I've had to learn that myself. And then Richie, I look to you to our next. We got 2 more to go here before we get into the in the gym segment about changing your life, the power of the practice mindset. 7 phrases that can de-escalate an argument. Richie, it's this idea of too often arguments get bogged down often in this. You did this, no, I didn't do that. Hold on. Can we move to a solution stage, just like Johnny offered up, or like Marty or Kristina? Like, what can we do differently next time? Rich, talk about the power of that idea. What can we do differently next time? And doing it while you're in a good state of conversation instead of in an argument. How can teams handle conflict a little better by saying, what can we do differently next time? Rich Ingram.
So I'm a huge advocate for we call them after action reviews in the military. I don't even know if they still use that terminology. But, this is why in leadership and management, the Myers-Briggs test is really important because we can identify, like I'm an ENTJ. Okay. So when I study each of my employees or subordinate leaders, what their personality types are, then I know how they process information. But we never want to start to review everything right after we've come up, de-escalated. It needs to be set aside and say, okay, hey guys, like in the morning, yesterday we had this scuttle. We need to make sure it doesn't happen again, because everybody needs to process what happened. That's the point in all these things, is process and knowing how to manage everyone's different personalities and then move forward.
Yeah. And then the last thing, this idea of 7 phrases that will instantly de-escalate an argument. And I love this one. And I think you guys can all lean in with this one with me. It's this idea of expressing gratitude by saying thank you for being willing to talk about this with me. So when you can get comfortable enough to a point in the dialogue, whether the conversation, the argument, or the conversation is over, it's just being gracious and expressing gratitude to the other person. It takes courage, man. When you're fighting with somebody or you're in the middle of an argument, to put your balls on the line to say, you know what?
And I think underneath that is people are too worried about being right.
Yes.
Who gives a shit? I say all the time, I don't want to be right. I want to be happy. I'm happy to be wrong if that's best for my life, if it's best for my relationships. So if you're one of these people who feels like being right is going to help you, that's a really, really tough one, and let go of that quick.
Wow. Great learnings, great conversation here. Morning Lab, Morning Loop Reloaded, a little extended version here. We're going to get to the In the Gym with Marty, John, and Richie here in just a quick minute. I'm just going to wrap that segment up. What a great conversation around phrases that'll help you instantly de-escalate an argument. Today, we're talking about changing your life, the power of the practice mindset. Well, everything we just talked about it just leans into that. Right, which is yes, Shinko, put your balls on the line. Absolutely,
it's the same thing.
Constantly practice, right? and it's gonna suck. And I like how just Johnny ended it. Right, it's not about being right; it's perhaps more about being grateful. And I think that to me is really what I take out of this last conversation. So, Okay, let's get to the In the Gym segment with John, Marty, and Richie. And I have tasked Richie and putting John and Marty on the line to talk about the practice mindset. And I'm thinking that Richie, like myself and a lot of our listeners, are maybe curious, maybe has some curious questions for these two young men to talk about the practice mindset. So let's get up there.
Only one of us is young.
Yeah, well, that's
taking shots.
Them fighting words.
Hold on, Rich. How old are you, brother? I'm having a brain fart. How old are you, Rich? I forgot.
41.
Oh shit! Right in the middle.
Yes, exactly. We got Marty at 31, Richie at 41, and we got Keith and Johnny stuck at 51 forever here. So, and then we got Tina hitting 40.
52.
I'm 41.
Oh yeah, I know, Johnny, you're 52 like I am, but we're going to be stuck at 51 forever there. So, we got a whole wide crew. All right, I'm giving you guys 6 minutes in the gym with John, Marty, and Richie Rich Ingram talking about practice mindset. Get out of here, Keith.
Oh man, this is a 6 minutes for a topic like this. Well, I think just coming out of the gate, when it comes down to it, in the gym, what do? We repeat shit over and over and over. So the idea of practicing repetition is the foundation of what the gym is all about. So I mean, I think the first thing we got to understand, we got to look at the fact that's like you're never going to escape that. Accept that, embrace it, because you're going to get better when you lean deep into that.
So do you have any kind of method going into it? So I know, some of us just innately can start this thing, but if I'm, newer to creating the type of mindset that's required to keep showing up, like, where do I start?
I mean, that's a great question. When it comes down to it, Marty and I were just talking about, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about expectations. I think the key is, create some very simple, actionable expectations for yourself. And obviously, Rich, you and I talk about brain chemistry. And when you have a simple step and you execute it, your brain's going to dump some pretty good chemistry on you. It's especially dopamine. It's the do it again drug. You do something, it's like, okay, check, do it again.
You there, Johnny?
Yeah,
okay.
I think you got
Johnny.
Frozen up.
Johnny froze. So
that was actually picture of him, though. Yeah, you
great picture.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's actually a great start with expectations. I was going to say, Johnny, we lost you, man.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to take over. All right.
Go for it, brother. Go.
All right. Johnny started with expectations. I think structure is next. All right. You got to develop a structure that you can stick with. All right. When you stick with that structure and you master it, boom, confidence is going to go up. Right. Mm-hmm. And then that's going to change your whole mindset towards the gym. Now, instead of going in there nervous, maybe a little scared, now you're going in there attacking the day, looking forward to it. Right. What's next? Let me try to get some heavier weight. Let me ask John Anderson what he does on chest day. Let me ask, now you're going into different areas of the gym when you start to master that structure.
And now,
go ahead.
For me, I work out to supplement cardio, right? So I'm kind of on a different thing. But for you guys, as far as goal setting, we were talking about being nervous earlier. How do you guys, what are some of the goals that y'all setting in the micro steps? How do you manage, if you have a big, like John, a big meet coming up or a big show, what's the mindset practice that you tackle to get there?
Well, I mean, goodness, in the stuff that I was always involved in, it was really a do or die mindset. Meaning you put your mind in a space where, look, I got to get this job done, and no pun intended. If I lose an arm in the process, it's okay.
Life goes on, man.
But what I'm getting is, I don't know that that's really applicable for those that are listening, because not many people get into that space when it comes to pursuing something that incorporates the gym. Maybe saving a kid in a burning building or something like that. But anyway, so I think what to take this and be actionable for our listeners. I think really the key is goal orientation is key. You definitely want to have some goals because they're checkpoints in your journey. But I think the key is to really create a way that you want to do this, because when you create a position where you want to do something, it's very easy to do it. And once you start to do something because you want to regularly, that mindset gets locked in, and it's becomes. I mean, think about you, Rich, you, Marty. I mean, we do this stuff because we want to. It's a piece of us. It's become who we are. And I think when it comes down to it, that's the deepest part of the mindset. It's just, it's just who we are. And so to get there, I think what you got to do is you got to focus on getting there and focus on having a good experience in the gym. So you associate wanting to do it again. Because coming out of the gates, showing up is a tough one. That's the first step. And then if you can show up and you can execute that session in a way where, damn, that was good, I want to do it again tomorrow, that is going to help the development of that mindset that we're talking about here. And when you practice that every day, like I said, pretty soon, it's just who you are. And once a mindset or a habit is who you are, it's just automatic at that point. And I think when it comes down to it, what do we want? We want to be able to execute really, really difficult shit every day on autopilot. When you're doing that, you're separating yourself from the pack like a motherfucker. Excuse my language.
And I think you got to have that mindset too. Like, I'm going to kill my opponent and I'm going to step on their throats. That's kind of the approach you have to have in the gym, because whatever your goal is, right, that's the win for you. If you approach with the average mindset, with that comfortable mindset, you're going to get an average ass result, and you're not going to get what you initially wanted in the gym. So you have to have that mindset. And whatever your goal is, whether it's to get stronger, increase your endurance, whoever it is you emulate or you want to be like, they more than likely have that mindset. Like, they're more than likely locked in 1,000%. Nobody reaches their goal like, oh, well, we'll see what I'll do today. Richie doesn't go to the race like, oh, I'll see how I place today. I guarantee Richie's like, oh, I'm going to kill all these motherfuckers that's racing with me. So I'm sure, John, you going in the strongman competition with that same mindset. Or whether even if it was your wrestling, I know some of it was staged, but still,
not some of it, all of it. Let's be
all of it was staged, yeah. But you got that mindset towards your role and your match or whatever it is, So
no,
definitely.
Mike Tyson, when he was interviewed, wasn't it him that the interviewer said, well, you know, why do you wake up so early to run? He said, because I know the other guys, and if they wake up earlier, I fucking won't sleep. Like that's the mindset that I fucking love. And now you were a D1 athlete, right? So you're talking, you're in the gym. Now you're doing this. Is your mindset attacking these principles of consistency the same, or does it change in the different environment?
No, it's the same, man. It's the same. And I tell you what, the thing I got from D1 is you really can't sleep on your opponent. You know, you go to the freaking Midwest and you're playing South Middle Valley bubblefuck state, they'll whip your ass if you're bullshitting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They will crush you. And I've had the privilege to beat top 25 teams and beat some high majors because they thought that my team was trash. So, you know, that's the one thing I've learned. And it's the same applies to business. It applies to having a girl. Somebody will steal your girl, you know? So it's the same thing. The gym going to keep me on point. So, yep.
And I think the last thing that we should put on the table here about this whole, we're talking about mindset and talking about the gym, is that, I mean, I established my mindset in the gym. I established my work. I established the skill sets that I applied to the rest of my life that made me successful. So just remember, this mindset that we're talking about with the gym, just like Marty said, it's applicable to all areas of your life. So don't think for a second that you're wasting time when you're developing your mindset in the gym, because you're practicing a skill set that will translate to everywhere.
All right, we are in the gym with John and Marty, wrapping up the segment here. You got Keith Bilous here, John Anderson, Steve Marty Fitter, and of course our friend Rich Ingram here. Great session, guys. Listen, it all starts up here. All right, so next up, it's time for Community Corner. This next little segment here, we celebrate humans on the planet, starting with our Creator Spotlight. And we also say goodbye to our friends, Richie, John, and Marty. They're going to get on with their day. But let's quickly go on the table, guys. What do we take from the show today? It's a good show today. We put a lot on the table. We put, Richie, your story. We talked about ways to de-escalate arguments. We talked about the power of the mindset, practicing habits. Marty, what'd you take from the show today, brother?
Man, great show, man. I mean, Johnny laid some bars out. Ty Hoesgen started off. He kind of took over in the beginning, but he said some great stuff, especially about speaking, because, you know, I look forward to speaking someday. But great show. And of course, Jory. You know, Jory's always, you know, leaving us with gems. So man, amazing show. Awesome.
Johnny, what'd you take from today's show, brother?
You know, I think I really like the part where we were talking about ways for, you know, people to kind of address conflict in a better way, because I think, you know, in general, you know, we get so distracted by conflict.
Yes.
And, you know, when it comes down to it, if we can focus on what matters, we're going to be happier. We're going to be more successful. The list goes on.
Yes. Very true. Kristina, what did you take from today's show? I'm sorry, Richie, what did you take from today's show, brother?
And I have a half page of notes here. I think we talked about some good shit today. Man, the most important, though, for me that I know I need to work on is the de-escalation. When I'm in an argument, I think that I'm okay, and I can always just work on everything in managing people that are in arguments or in those conflicts. But when I'm in it, man, it's tough, dude. So I really got a lot out of that. It was powerful.
Yeah. Kristina, what did you take out of today's show there, Coach?
I just love the bit on gut health, quite frankly. Like I said, I don't think we talk about it enough. I think it's something that you don't require a lot of money to start it. It's something you could start today. Like Jory said, it could start with as simple as hydration. And I'm the first one to admit that I hydrate a lot with coffee. So I need to get better on the water. And I know that my gut, it ain't great. It ain't great. So I think that feels approachable, right? I think a lot of times, and we look at this panel here, these are incredibly accomplished folks. Sometimes it feels like, where do I start though? How do I even get there? And I think we often leave folks with one at least approachable thing to do today. If you want to focus on your gut health today, start hydrating. If you want to focus on de-escalating an argument with your partner, start with, am I understanding you correctly? Simple, easy, practical. I love that shit.
Yeah, me too. And that's really, I think, what I took from today's show as well was more so around the de-escalating arguments. When I saw that topic in my feed today, I'm like, perfect, because that is, and Richie, you said it, man, it's a practice, right? It's something you got to do every single day, right? Whether it's your partner, your kid, your colleague at work, there's going to be conflict, and if we can work at de-escalating it before it even gets there through the power of communication, and we talked about that today with Ty Hoesgen, man, that's powerful. Right. So, Nation, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation today. I hope you guys took something from it and to help you get through your day today. So, John, Marty, Richie, I know you guys got some big accomplishments to rock and roll after today. You guys have a good one. We'll catch up a little later.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. Richie, John, and Marty are heading out. We're going to pivot to the community corner where we celebrate some of the amazing people out there that are making a difference in the world. And Kristina, we have somebody today who's true inspiration in business and entrepreneurship. And this person, for the creator spotlight, Jimmy, there's my cue there when we come to post-produce the whole thing. I just dropped that word in there so we know that, okay, creator spotlight.
Tag. Yeah. There's the tag. We know we go back.
There's the tag. Exactly. All right. So this person, business and entrepreneurship, inspired by that whole area, is a VC for Techstars. He sources and supports startups for Techstars accelerator programs, focusing on growth and successful program execution. He's an ecosystem leader dedicated to building bridges in venture capital, providing mentorship and guidance to early stage founders. So, hey, if you're an entrepreneur tuning in right now, this person might be somebody you might want to lean into. He's a champion for Black and Brown founders. He focuses on increasing access to VC funding for underrepresented founders. Oh, I love this, Kristina. Emphasizing skills, opportunity, and network. And he's an expert in startup acceleration. I'm telling you, Nation, if you're an entrepreneur and you're feeling you're underrepresented, this person might be for you. Skilled in deal sourcing and relationship management to help startups navigate the landscape. Today's Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight.
Do a drum roll.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah. So today's Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight is Cordero Brown. Cordero Brown from New York, United States, venture capitalist. Kristina, why are we highlighting Cordero today from New York?
Yeah, so based in New York right now. We made the big jump from Alabama. I don't know why his profile picture isn't showing up there, but it's on his LinkedIn. Cord, I have had the pleasure, and you don't always say that with people that you worked with before, but yeah. I have had the pleasure of working with Cord and knowing Cord for around 5 years. And he's one of those people that, whether you're seeing him online, whether you're meeting him in person, he and I have actually never met in person. He's one of those internet friends, but he is the same dude regardless. He shows up, he knows his values. He works incredibly hard at everything he does. He's mission focused. So he's all about, when we worked together, we worked for an organization called Founder Gym, which was about teaching Black and Brown founders. How do they develop the skill? We often don't really acknowledges, how do you develop the skill of raising VC funding? Oftentimes, you might be able to get access to a network, but that's incredibly difficult, especially if you look at the percentages of Black and Brown founders that get funded by VC capital. And then you need to know, if you actually get access to that network, what do you actually do with it? And how do you make best use of it? So Cord has always been really focused on that. I know from a personal perspective, he's always been really, really focused on his health and his wellness and making sure that he's bringing the best him to it. And I just think we don't always see this in VC. Like, let's be real. Not only are the statistics related to VC funding on Black and Brown founders incredibly poor, but the actual representation of Black and Brown founders and Black and Brown people in VC is very limited. And Cord is one of those people, and he's trying to change that system, which you got to have a lot of love and respect for. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're exploring, what does this look like? Connecting with Cord on LinkedIn, seeing how he's doing things, looking at the education that he's trying to provide people on, what do I actually do when I want to explore this path? And what are some of the realities I need to acknowledge on that path? Cord's the right guy to do it.
Awesome. Cordero Brown, we are celebrating you today. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Hey, listen, you can connect with him on LinkedIn. Go find him, connect with him on LinkedIn. You can learn more about his work at Techstars and his mission to support diverse founders. There you go. Creator Spotlight. Listen, if you know someone doing amazing things and you're like, we got to get this person on the show, come knock on Kristina Flynn's door, come knock on my door, so we can get them celebrated in the Community Corner and the Creator Spotlight. We do have a new segment coming up in a couple weeks in Community Corner. We sat down with our friend Mario Hernandez yesterday, Kristina. So we got some exciting things happening in the community that we're excited to share with all of you in the coming days and weeks. All right, we're going to wrap up our Community Corner segment. And Arm, I appreciate you as well today. I see your comment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You all say the no roll, go over and get up, back to sleep. No hit the snooze button. Just get up and get going. Love it. You're getting up and doing just that, which is what we do here every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, mornings in the lab with Keith and friends. All right, Tina, let's get into the business. Let's get into the business and branding segment with your cartoon character, Keith Bilous over here.
You gonna do the whole segment like that? What the fuck? Seriously?
That could be fun, actually. That totally could be fun.
It would be fun for you, maybe.
Yeah, it would be not fun for our audience, probably. Like, hey, who the fucking card? Who's the card? Although I'll tell you somebody. I'm going to do this right now because I had a meeting with somebody yesterday who's an expert in AI. And they built a big business on AI, and I'll share more about this with you off camera because I don't want to tease too much to Nation just yet.
Don't tease too much. No, don't tease too much.
And she says to me, she's like, Keith, she goes, I'm coming to you, true story. I'm coming to you because everybody is creating AI generated stuff, AI characters, AI text, AI video, AI audio, Google LLM notebooks. And she says to me, I'd like to have a real life Keith Bilous, John Anderson, and Christopher Martin do some work with us. I'm like, oh yeah? She goes, yeah, because you guys are real and entertaining. You're not just AI. I'm like, oh, true story, Kristina. She's like, everybody is doing AI stuff. And she says, what I'm seeing is more and more people are leaning into, can we find an entertaining human? Interesting.
It's incredibly interesting. I was listening to Greg Eisenberg's podcast, SIP, so Startup Ideas Podcast, and he was talking with somebody related to the fact that they believe the next iteration of this is actually like the unscalable. So when everyone, and Greg talks about this often, whenever the pendulum swings one way, it tends to swing back. And if you look at the back of like what's the opposite of the way that it's going, that tends to be the opportunity. So right now we're seeing everyone go to AI. We're seeing AI influencers. We're seeing AI personal brands. If you look the other way, which is real life and people, because everyone's going one way, look the opposite, and there could be a lot of opportunity there.
Well, and not to reveal anything about the business.
Turn it off. I can't have a real conversation with you.
Adam's laughing over there in the comments. I got to get you one of these so we can actually have one of these cartoon character conversations.
You know, that's not, I'd like to know what I would look like in Pixar. So maybe I'll do that in Dolly later today.
Yes. But what I do find interesting is that while the world continues to move to, AI generated content, we just keep leaning into this live conversation, which is the opposite stream of everybody else. And people are like, oh yeah, real live human beings talking. Gee, what a novel.
Though you and I both know there's a place for AI in this very human-centric conversation that we have every day too.
Yes.
So when you think about, a lot of people go to everything.
Yes.
I talked about it in the brand bite today, all or nothing. So I'm all AI, everything. I'm going to build an AI influencer. We haven't even scratched the surface on what we're going to see with AI influencers. So people might say, well, why the fuck should I even worry? Why should I build my brand? I'll just build an AI influencer. Okay, you can. Getting through that noise of everyone who's going to be doing that, the millions of people who are going to be doing that, it's going to be incredibly difficult. So what's your differentiator? In this case, which is kind of wild to say, your differentiator is your humanity, is your personality, we talked about this. We met with somebody yesterday and they were like, have y'all known each other a long time?
Yeah.
And we were like, about 60 days.
Yes.
60 days. Well, I'm really comfortable with who I am. You're really comfortable with who you are. And you can have this dynamic in a way that is very hard to replicate. Although I won't say it won't happen one day. Very hard to replicate with AI.
Yes.
But do we use a lot of AI to get this shit done? Because we're a very small team.
That is what I think is not often discussed, right? So we're starting a brand new media company here, and there's humans on the face of it, but holy smokes, are we heavily powered by AI? And that
there's
is
no way we'd be able to do what we do without it.
no, and that is the difference, nation. So again, we're talking business and branding, and we're just going to segue right into this. What we're doing on a daily basis is not possible without all the AI behind us. It's just not, right? So, well,
how
yes,
many more team members do you think we would need?
a half dozen, easily,
Agreed.
easily. Because so when you're building your business, and to Kristina's point, and to this point of why somebody knocked on my door yesterday, going, yeah, so we could. Because I said to her, Kristina, I'm like, why don't you go create like an AI generated podcast? She goes, no, because everybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
So why'd you come to me? She goes, because you're a human being who's entertaining. I was like, oh. Like, think about that for a second.
Well, first, she lied to you because you ain't that entertaining.
I know.
But, I'm kidding.
No, but to your point, though. Oh, what do you mean? Your key differentiator is you're a human being and you're entertaining? Like, what? How is that not different when we went from the Charlie Chaplin era to comedians who spoke, to color, to pictures and entertainment? Like, society is a cycle, man. It's just a cycle. We're all going to go lean into remake things with AI. And then we're going to bring it back into the world. So back in the old days, you start a media company with a transmitter and a building and a bunch of human beings and start a morning show. Now we're like, okay, let's put some human beings in front of a camera, find some AI to support us, and start a media company. It's very different.
We've talked a lot about nostalgia on this show, and I think
yes,
some of our age actually speaks to that, and the age of our audience speaks to that. Marty's on the young side,
yes.
Whereas we speak more so skewing to like a 35 to 54.
Yes.
That's broad in and of itself, but because of that, and because of our lived experiences, we can appreciate what nostalgia looks like in this realm of media. We can appreciate that when someone says, what the fuck are y'all doing? My description is old school talk radio.
Yeah.
Meets local morning show meets a bit of Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
Yes.
And I'm like, I know it's weird, but they never say, what does that mean? They know exactly what that means. They know what talk radio is. They know what morning shows locally are. They know what Howard Stern is. So that in and of itself is enough of a descriptor that when you pull those things together and you use the tools available to you, which is platforms like YouTube and LinkedIn, there's a very different level of being able to push things in a way that we couldn't have done at any other time, quite frankly.
No question about it. No question about it.
Turn it off. The Pixar
Talk about transform your life and change your life through the power of practice, mindset practice, doing the same thing over and over and over. Let's talk about how I built ICUC and how we're building this company by repetitive practice. And let's talk about how you build your brand through repetitive practice, a personal brand. And often that goes into spending time on social, spending time doing things repetitively when it's not working, when you're not getting the dopamine hit, when you're not getting the response or reactions you want, but yet you still need to do it. Let's take the next 10 minutes, Kristina, and share our experience with the Business Athlete Nation around how the power of the mindset, practicing techniques to get through the day, to build the business and to build the personal brand. Where do we want to start?
I think it's just that, right? Like what does it look like for you? Actually, I want to start a little bit sooner than that.
Sure.
When you were starting ICUC, one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is patience. And in order to practice and apply that practice mindset, you have to acknowledge from the get that this is going to be a longer journey and you're going to need to be patient in the approach that you take. What was your mindset as a very young entrepreneur approaching your company, and were you patient or were you not? Did you struggle with that?
Good question. No, I wasn't. Oh my, so there's
what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, there's something for you, nation, to learn. What you're thinking is going to take, it's going to take you 2 years to take, it's going to take you 4 or 5.
More.
You got to find a way to find patience. You got to find a way to enjoy the process. I was sitting down with the same person yesterday who's on their way with their business, and it seems to be doing this right now. She was telling me, and I'm like, listen, what I can offer you is be patient and enjoy the ride, right? Because it's going to go real fast. Lean into the speed, but also be patient through the process. And it's going to suck. It's going to be a lot of days you're going to hate. There's going to be a lot of days you're going to bang your head. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to look at the calendar and it's going to come. The calendar is going to happen fast, right? Like you're going to look at today, October 9th, you're going to look at it's already November, it's already December, right? So you have to, I know it sounds so cliche, Kristina, but it is really just finding a way to, Shinku, good things come to those who wait. I hate that fucking cliche, but it's so true, right? Working through the difficult, repetitive things daily that you hate, knowing that it's going to suck today, it's going to suck tomorrow, but on Friday, it's going to be better. I don't know. I don't know what better advice I can offer you. Is that I struggle with that whole process. I've had to learn it. So if I can offer, so being conversations with my younger self, try to learn patience while you're going through it in your 30s and 40s.
I don't even know if I would say try to learn it. I would just say, just try to accept it. Whether you like it, whether you've learned it or not, it's a fact. Unfortunately, for most of us, we had to go through it and we had to realize and be humbled at, I remember thinking with my first company, who the fuck did I think I was?
Yeah.
Walking into this thing with all the confidence in the world, because the people that tend to be entrepreneurs are those that are high potential and high performers. And we have confidence for the most part in our ability because typically we've gotten the yeses. Typically things have gone our way in terms of what we put our mind to. When you're facing as an entrepreneur, this reality of like, I can work as hard as I can and it's still not work. I can work as smart as I possibly can, and it still may not work. That's a very humbling experience. And a lot of us, you just give up. You give up way before you see the compounding benefits. So when you think about this idea of practice now, from ICUC 32-year-old something Keith to now how you're applying those lessons learned to what you're doing every single day in building this company, what are the differences that you're seeing?
The differences I'm saying is I have awareness now. I know I can reconcile some of the feelings. I'm like, okay, I know what that feels like. Right. And I think for me, what's different as much as anything, Kristina, is the urgency of time moving forward. Right. I've learned. So I think what age does for you and through the experience of business, it teaches you how to feel time. So how to put a practicing mindset in to play with time moving forward. So what am I trying to say with that? So we're October right now. I'm already thinking it's January. I didn't think that way before. I didn't know how to think that way before. So now I know that January is actually January is really tomorrow. So as an entrepreneur, I'm thinking about January being tomorrow.
Right.
Right. And as we're going through this quarter, I'm thinking about March being around the corner. I didn't know that before. That's a practice that I had to learn to do. Right. And a practice that I do daily or often with myself is that idea of looking forward and then using what John always says is feeling to recognize what that feels like. Okay. So right now it's actually November 15th. What have we accomplished? Mm-hmm. It's a really remarkable practice to go through when you can do it diligently. Sitting down, challenging yourself to put a time in the calendar and pretend it's that time and then reflect upon it, what you've accomplished.
Yeah. I'm always reminded of, the first time I ever tried or learned about mindfulness as an athlete. I remember sitting there with my mindfulness cognitive behavioral therapist, which, as we know, is talk about privilege, but sitting there with her and going, okay, so what's the goal? She's like, the goal is to practice. I'm like, okay, but what's my outcome? Like, what am I getting towards? Because that's just the way I was used to thinking. Yes. And at this stage, I'm like 35 years old, 33 years old. I'm going like, okay, but I'm working towards something. What do I work towards? And she was like, nothing. You work towards doing it. You work towards getting whatever you can out of that moment. There is nothing that you're actually trying to attain. And yes, you can have your own personal goals with it, but that's not the point. The point is you're going to show up and you're going to do the thing every day. And hopefully it gives you some clarity, but there's going to be days you don't get clarity. So going into those situations is incredibly difficult for people like you and I that are high performers and probably a lot of our audience members. When you think about how practice has changed and transformed your life, which is a big theme of today's show, what are some of the things that you do every single day that you see as your practice? And I want to think about that both from a business side and from a personal side, because since we've worked together, you are very regimented. Yeah. And I feel like every day for you is a practice. So what does that look like in your life?
Absolutely. Good morning, Tangerine. Good to see you here this morning. Mornings in the lab with Keith and friends are hanging out with us during the business and branding bite. And Kristina just asked me, what's my morning practice look like? Well, to me, it's that idea of being the business athlete, right? My day is very structured. My day starts at 4 a.m. I feed the dogs. I grab my coffee to set the day. And so for me, it's grab my coffee and read my sources of information. Just like the old dude. I got my 7 sources and I read them all by 5.
Your paper and your grapefruit.
Exactly it. Yeah. I get my brain full to start the day. I then sit down at around, I hit the gym. I try to get into the gym for an hour and change before I get into the show. I'm in the lab here for the show. The show starts at 8:00 Eastern time. I'm in the lab here I try to be in here by 7:30 to get ready for the show. We do the show from 8 till 10. We then do post-production for an hour and a half. The power of AI. We do an entire 2-hour 8 podcast show and then produce it in 90 minutes, nation. True story. So then we do that. Then after being up and working for 8 hours, I start my day. Yeah. That's the life of an entrepreneur. And then I get down on my desk and I go through the rest of the day until, I start my day at whatever it is, 11, 12 o'clock, and then go till whatever it is, 5, 6, have dinner with the family, feed the dogs and go about that. And then spend time with my wife or do some work and then hit the bed, trying to get to bed by 8, 9 o'clock so I can redo it all again, same day.
How's that going? How's that getting to bed by 8, 9 o'clock? Because that's hard.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's getting better. So it's becoming more of a non-negotiable for me. And you know why, Kristina? Because we keep talking about the power of sleep. And, again, if I'm going to keep getting on this show and recommending and making suggestions to others and not do it myself, it kind of makes me a hypocrite, right? So when we talk about these 7 habits of de-escalating arguments, well, damn rights, I'm working on that myself. I'm telling people they got to get their sleep in. Well, damn rights, I'm working on that myself, right? So, and more so, Kristina, so I can tell my kids that I want to be around longer, because we know that sleep leads to longevity. And it's a habit that not enough of us as human beings spend enough time talking or doing enough about. So for me, for this show, I need to keep getting my sleep. So yeah, the habits, my day doesn't happen without habits, very much like John Anderson, right? I just got to be habitual. Just check box, right?
And there's freedom in that, which has taken me a long time to acknowledge and understand. My neurodiverse brain wants uniqueness. My neurodiverse brain wants every day to look different. And what I had to realize was there's actually freedom in making your days look different. If you take the things that need to be done throughout the day, that must be done throughout the day, and you make them a practice and you make them a habit, that energy and that brain power that you're using typically to find those moments, it goes away, because as John says, it becomes autopilot. And then you're not having to worry about that. I'm not there yet, as you know. I'm much better. I remember years and years and years spent struggling for the morning routine. I'm much better, but also I'm in a stage in life where I have to also be flexible. I have very young children. I have 2 young kids. My days won't look exactly the same. And I still need to apply that thinking to it to say, great, what can I control today? And what can I make sure that's still going to push forward my practice? And I know immediately, like, this doesn't sound like a conversation about business and branding, but it absolutely is, because without doing this and without putting these kinds of systems in place and without acknowledging that these are really hard things to do, I don't want anyone thinking that we've got it all figured out, because we don't. We struggle every day just like everyone else.
Oh, hey, I started.
Look at you. You definitely don't have it figured out. God damn it. You're a Pixar character.
I started the show as cartoon character Keith. Watch what happens when I put my glasses on, because cartoon character Keith gets the glasses as well. But I started the show looking like this. And while you just did say that, look at that, the glasses come on, right? This is the power of technology, dude. But what you did say, yes, this is a business and branding segment. True. If my non-negotiables in my life, my habits, to help me transform and change my life, my daily practices, if that doesn't happen, then my business isn't building and my personal brand isn't, right? Yeah. So my personal brand is very much linked to my daily habits. The entire business athlete manifesto, ethos, principles are all linked to daily habits. You either A, are a business athlete, or B, you aspire to be one. And to be one, you're living with non-negotiable habits. If you are aspiring to be one, it's about teaching you. And I know you work at it every single day, Tina, which is, and I've seen you improve every single day. Okay, I'm working on my non-negotiables, getting there. And it's just this life of constant improvement. So, but listen, let's wrap it up. The segment wrapping up your business and branding. The show's wrapping up 2 hours. You like that, Tangerine? I'm going to go back for you. See, Kristina, I'm getting support from the audience here. So I got to go back to this.
Tangerine, I love you, but do not encourage him, please.
Yeah, exactly. So listen,
I have the power to block you. I will take you. I'm just kidding. I would never do that.
All right. So listen, Keith and Kristina, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. We do it every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time with Keith, John, Marty, Kristina Flynn, and Rich Ingram on Wednesdays. We're wrapping up today's show. We talked about changing your life, the power of the practice mindset. Listen, to have success, it's boring. It's really it's quite boring. You got to just do it daily, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And yes, there's freedom in that, but there's also a lot of freedom in changing your day when you have that freedom to do it. So, Kristina, let's get out of here. Great show. We're back tomorrow on Thursday. Looking at my calendar, I think we have, who do we have showing up on the calendar tomorrow there, Kristina?
Greg Stepp.
Yes, I know. We may not
off one of the greatest radio hoaxes apparently ever.
Yes, and apparently we may not have Greg tomorrow. It's kind of a moving target because, I just got a note from Greg. I'm going to need to reschedule for sure because we're going to be in middle of the storm and I'm not sure if I'm going to have power. So Greg, if you're tuning in right now, be safe.
Thinking about you, Greg.
Yeah, you guys, to all of you guys over there, over in the middle of Florida, where that nasty hurricane's on their way. We're thinking about you guys, and Greg will get you back on in the future. Kristina, have an awesome day. We'll talk to you later, okay?
Talk to you later.
Get out of here. All right, there we go. Another one done.